let's go with the Cavs.
Okay.
The Cavs, for me, like, really great team, obviously, have been incredible throughout the course of the season. To me, it's like, are they going to be able to like just maintain momentum on some level? Like they beat the Jazz last night, but before that, they've lost their previous 4 games against the Magic, Clippers, Kings, and Suns. And that's not really like an X factor necessarily, right? Like that's just not the way that works in any way, shape, or form. But I do think like there is like a peaking too early kind of vibe. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And like, what will stop them from peaking too early is my question. And this is why I actually really like the idea of them going out and getting DeAndre Hunter, because it gives you like just enough of a change up while you're great to give you something to strive toward in terms of like integrating him and knowing that by integrating him, we have a lot more lineup flexibility. We have a lot more versatility. We have a lot more ability to get to different matchups that make us potentially great against Boston or New York or Oklahoma City, right? So I like that like slight change up that they made. To me, it's, consistently integrating DeAndre Hunter in ways that allow them to keep, winning basketball games at a super high level. And it's, now that you've moved Karis LeVert, can Ty Jerome be your secondary offensive creator off the bench consistently? And frankly, this is now like the big question for me. This is a team that has gotten by with depth throughout like a majority of the year. In the playoffs, when rotations shrink and you're consistently playing your starters 38, 39, 40 minutes, are they able to maintain that advantage consistently? That's also like a real question to me as well. And oh, by the way, what can their half court offense consistently be in conjunction with the half court defense when teams are attacking Garland a little bit more regularly? Like there are just a few more things here. They're all like very slight questions to me, but they are like real factors that they have to figure out.
First, I agree with you in terms of integrating somebody from the outside. I think chaos and trading LeVert and Yang for Hunter isn't chaos in the sense that like people would think, but just changing things up. Like it is good. It is good for a team, especially in over an 82 game regular season, especially with a team that returned the core from the year before. I think it is good to just change things up, keep people on their toes a little bit. I am 100% with you though, Sam. Like I've said this for a while now. Kenny Atkinson is an incredible coach. He's shown it this year. He's going to be coach of the year. He deserves to be coach of the year. I love that they have the versatility of these options. Can you push the right buttons? When you get in, okay, so here's my other thing. They consistently play the combinations of the guards in the front court, right? Well, if they're all going to play 40 minutes a night, you're not playing those combinations anymore. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those 4 guys on the floor. It's just like now it's going to be more consistently. The rotations are going to change. Who is the 5th guy? How does that work? How good is Ty Jerome if he's getting less minutes per night than what he's getting right now? Again, it's nitpicky. I'm not saying it's going to be an issue, but it will be interesting. How well do guys shoot, Sam, when they're playing 8 minutes, 2 4-minute rotations as opposed to 2 8-minute or 6-minute rotations? Because right now, they're the best 3-point shooting team in the NBA with countless guys over 40% or right at it, including some guys off the bench. Can they also knock down those shots when those rotations are a little bit less? And then I will just say this. I watched the Clippers game the other night, and it wasn't the James Harden highlight that everybody wants to talk about that made me. It was Zubac just destroying them in the paint. And I had like these nightmare flashbacks of what we saw last year in the playoffs. I'm like, are those two going to get worked in the paint again this year by somebody? I don't think so. But it just all of a sudden brought back flashbacks of that Knicks series. And I'm like, this isn't going to happen, right? Like it can't happen again, but Zubac did it to him. And it was a regular season game, but it just made
Mitch did it 2 years ago as well. Like,
yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah. 2 years ago with Mitch. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So Do you know what the Cavs are shooting from 3 since the trade deadline?
I would guess it probably is even better because Hunter's like at 50%, over 40% as a team.
36% from 3 since the deadline.
Wow. So that means everybody else has really regressed because he's at 49% himself.
Yeah. And, part of this is just like shooting stretches.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just small shooting stretches. We're talking about a month sample, month and a half now. These things happen. Like I'm not sitting here saying that like they're a worse shooting team than what they were early in the season, but it's going to be interesting to see if they're able to continue to hold up like shooting when so much of what they have been reliant upon is that shooting, that ability to fire from distance and knock down shots and consistently, get to the, get paint touches and then kickouts and then rely on those guys to knock down those kickouts. And oh, by the way, like DeAndre Hunter knocks down shots, not like the quickest reversal guy either. So, that can be a change in terms of tempo that you're playing at. It is interesting that they are now shooting 36% from 3 in that run. And oh, by the way, like basically hasn't mattered. Like they're 16-4 in that run. They were the 3rd best team in the league since that run behind Oklahoma City and Boston. Right. So hasn't really affected it that much, but like, again, like we're grading them on that standard now because of how good they have been this year. They have earned the right to be graded on that standard. And the little things matter here, especially when you're running out lineups where like the Mitchell Garland thing, like isn't even an X factor to me. Like that's just like, this is the big thing that they have to figure out. Like, can they consistently beat Boston with both those guys on the court when Boston is going to relentlessly attack Garland?
It's funny. So I pulled it up post All-Star break, just 3-point percentage for their team. The role guys, quote unquote, are still shooting it well. Jerome's over 40. Strus is right under 40. Dean Wade's at 38. Merrill's at 37 on volume. You know who's bringing it down? Mitchell and Garland. Donovan Mitchell is at 27% on 8 attempts post All-Star break in 14 games. And Darius Garland's at 31% on 7.5 attempts in 14 games post All-Star break. So it's actually those two guys that are bringing it down right now here post All-Star break, which I don't think either of you or I think that that's going to be the trend come playoffs. So just a weird, it is 14 games. Like that's not a nothing stretch, but
yeah,
it is kind of funny looking at that it's actually those two guys that have struggled from 3.
We'll move to Boston now, because this one's honestly like pretty simple to me. And this is just like a quick conversation probably, but what the fuck is going on with Kristaps is like the big, like that's the X factor here. Like I genuinely just don't know. Like he's dealing with this like return to like conditioning from the illness that he had, and the illness feels like somewhat bizarre, I guess, like insofar as we don't know a ton about it right now. And like that scares me a little bit. Like that scares me quite a bit, if I'm being honest, in terms of just what does this mean? Like what does this mean for how much he's going to be able to play? It feels less predictable to me than, okay, he has like a, whatever that ankle injury, the weird ankle injury he had last year was, right? Like we can figure out what that is. We can figure out if he can play 10 minutes a night. Like this just feels a lot more up in the air, and I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, it's really weird because, like I remember, I don't know who they were playing and, listening to the broadcast, like he was talking about it being the most sick he's ever been in his life and, not knowing exactly what it was. And then, he comes back and he plays 3 games on the 15th, the 18th, the 21st, and then he misses a game. I mean, it says illness on the injury report on NBA, on ESPN,
I think that they're referring to it as like a conditioning based.
Okay.
Thing.
Got you. So it's not like flared back up again. All right. Well, that makes
not to my knowledge.
All right.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is like Jaylen Brown, I assume will be okay, but he's being reevaluated tomorrow on the 24th. Anytime I would read bone bruise, just knowing what I know about knee injuries, that makes me a little bit nervous, because if you had a bone bruise in your knee, that means something moved at least a little bit, unless it was just like a direct shot to it. So, I mean, I assume he'll be fine, but it is what it is with this team. If they're healthy, you feel pretty good about their chances. But between Kristaps, Al Horford, who's, I'm not like an injury concern, but he's an older player and very important to this team. And I do feel like it's like those 6-7 guys you feel really good about, but how good do you feel if one is out, or, gosh forbid, 2 guys are out? Do they have the depth to then fill into that? And so to me, it's really the X factor is just health. Are they healthy? Because every time I watch Porzingis, Sam, I'm like, this dude is unreal. Like the distance he shoots his threes from, he's able to finish. He can ISO if you switch. He's a rim protector. I think he's underrated just in terms of like how good he is when he is on the floor.
Yeah. So since they lost that like bizarro game to the Mavericks, like back in early February, they are, I believe, 14-2 or like something like that. 14-3 maybe in this little time span, like with their only losses being that Pistons game that we talked about previously. They lost to the Cavs during that window, and they lost to the Thunder. So like literally have only lost to the best teams in the league, except for, the Pistons, who are top 10 team, top 12 team in the league right now. Let's go with. But like in this run, they have beaten the Knicks twice. They have beaten Denver. They've beaten Portland twice now. They have beaten the Lakers. Like they have beaten Miami on the road. Like they've had like a pretty good little run here of beating pretty solid teams. And I'm really intrigued to see what they're able to do at full strength, if they do get to full strength with Porzingis. If they have Porzingis, it's them in Oklahoma City. Like I've been saying this throughout the year. If they are fully healthy and they are rolling, it's them in Oklahoma City totally. If they are not that, and Drew Holiday is dealing with like a little shoulder thing, and Jason Tatum has like a little minor knee thing that he's managing, and then obviously Jaylen Brown missed today because he has that bone bruise and is going to be I think reevaluated Monday or Tuesday or something, and they're going to figure it out, right? So like all of their guys are dealing with little minor things, it feels like right now. And how are they able to like kind of get through a playoff run here, which is 2 months of grueling basketball with all of these little minor things? Really, the way they're going to have to do it is they're going to have to like try and sweep through the first 2 rounds, I think. That'll give them the requisite like time off, hopefully, to be able to do that. And, I would imagine that they'll be favored to sweep through the first round, because that'll probably be it'll be Atlanta or Orlando. Yeah. And then the second round will be a little bit tougher. It'll probably be the Knicks, and the Knicks are at least a physical matchup for them that can cause issues.
So that's kind of interesting, right? Like real quick, just like sidetrack there. If you say an X factor, especially for the Celtics, even, do you think any of these East play-in teams can make the Cavs or the Celtics work? Because I don't think this is as fun a question in the West. I think we believe that at least that whoever comes out of the play-in in the West is I don't want to say like they're better teams than what's going to come out of the East. Like, do the Hawks versus the Celtics give them a run with Trey and these wings? Do the Magic, with what they do defensively, and now Paolo and Franz are at least back and healthy, do they make, do they push Cleveland? Do we think they at least make those work? As you bring up it being important for the Celtics to sweep and not drag out and play more games than they should have to in a playoff run. Yeah.
So, currently they have played Orlando and Atlanta 5 times this year as of the time that we're recording, and they are 2-3 in those 5 games.
Interesting.
It's a little bit strange, right? In the first Orlando game that they lost, that was without Jason Tatum. So like, just, rule that out basically as being all that relevant. But the Hawks games have been kind of weird. If you remember, like they had like that overtime game where the Hawks just like beat them, and they beat them, I believe, without either of the bigs, if I remember correctly, in that game. Because I think that was like a Luke Cornett heavy game for some reason. And let me pull up both of these. The first game here on November 12th, that was at full strength sans Porzingis. So everybody Porzingis played. And then the second game here was the Luke Cornett heavy game where they lost. So yeah, that was January 18th and Cornett played 30 minutes. They were without either of the bigs. So interesting. Hard to say like what to think, but again, this goes back to the full strength thing to me.
Yeah.
Like this goes back to they need guys at full strength to be able to, really sweep through these teams. You know what I mean? Not just like beat them, but beat them quickly so that they can like really get some rest and hopefully get some time off.
Yep. I agree.
Let's just go to the Knicks. Let's just knock out the East because I think we're only going to talk about 3 of these East teams here. What did you have for the Knicks? Is their big X factor?
I defense, like figuring out what that looks like in a playoff setting. And, with all due respect to Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns, it's not coming from them. So I guess I'll put it on the shoulders of the wings. Like my vision for what this team is really good offensively. And they've been that. They can be really good offensively with Cat spacing the floor and Jalen Brunson running the show and, Bridges, OG, like all of that. But it was, okay, we have these weaknesses at the point and at the big man spot defensively. These wings have to be incredible. And, we've talked about Mikal Bridges with that. I think OG Anunoby has to be awesome, but I think ultimately it's that. Is it the wings? Is it Mitchell Robinson is really a savior in regards to that somehow? Do you play him with Cat? How much can you survive those minutes? So to me, it's they got to find a way to get stops in the playoffs.
Yeah, getting stops is the big X factor for them. And to me, that's can they get Mitchell Robinson and Karl Towns on the court together and hopefully like let them build some chemistry together before the playoffs. So far they've played 33 minutes together this season. They are a plus 24 in those minutes. Their offensive rating is a 151 in those minutes. They are just bludgeoning teams in that time. They're giving up a lot of points though. Like they've given up 126. That's why to me, you need to be able to consistently get these guys on the court and like get them some time together and let them figure out their angles, let them figure out the way each other plays together. That synergy in playoff moments is just massive, massive, massive.
Yeah, they need it because for most of the season in general, the defense isn't good enough to like go win a title, right? And I think that's how you have to judge. Like they're all in, are they not? Like I feel like this is
totally
how we have to judge them in terms of the assets they've given up for the players they've brought in. This is the core. This is the roster. And so it's like, I believe in their offense. Like, again, I think Jalen Brunson is awesome. I think Karl Anthony Towns has been what they wanted in terms of an offensive force and spacing the floor and all of that. And so these wings have to be good / Mitchell Robinson. And you're right. Then it's, again, we talk about rotations. Okay. So when they're on the floor together, which one of the wings do you take off? Like who sacrifices minutes if Mitchell Robinson is going to play 24 or something like I don't think he's all of a sudden going to start playing 30 minutes a night. Like, I just don't think that's going to happen. But, is it Josh Hart that plays less? Are you taking Bridges? Who is it? Or, do you just give less to one of the couple, Shamit or something like that? So they got to figure that out. And then again, you talk about a team, those guys are going to play 40 minutes a night. Don't play with your food either. Like you get the Pistons in the first round, beat them in 5. Don't let Cade go crazy for 2 different games. And now you have a dog because that's 40 extra, that's 80 extra minutes if the Pistons steal 2 games in that series. And so you got to just take care of business whenever we're talking about the amount of minutes these guys have played, not all year, but then through a playoff run as well.
So I totally agree with that. And the defense thing is what's really, really important to kind of harp on here, just because if you look at them against good offenses this year, so cleaning the glass is a great tool for this, right? Like we can look at what the Knicks look like against top 10 offenses in the league this year. When teams play top 10 offenses this year, the Knicks have the 21st offensive or defensive rating in the league. They give up 120 points per 100 possessions to top 10 offenses in the league. That's what they're going to have to play against teams like Cleveland, Boston, Oklahoma City, the teams that they ostensibly want to be competing with in order to make the playoffs. And oh, by the way, another team there that could be a real problem for them is Indiana. Indiana also has an exceptionally high level offense. Milwaukee is like a little bit more hit or miss, but Indiana is the one where I look at it and I'm just like, well, this feels like a worry to me. Like this feels like a genuine concern.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think a lot of people have penciled the Knicks versus the Pistons. And I think that's still the most likely outcome in the first round. But there's a, to use your, there's a non-zero chance it could be the Pacers. It could be the Bucks or somebody like that. And the Pacers would be, a team, like you said, offensively really, really good. I feel like Halliburton is rounding into shape. I don't mean like actual shape, but like we continue to see him play. Oh,
it's been unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah. We continue to see him play better or more like the level we expect. I shouldn't say better, but here's the thing. Either one of those two teams, the Pistons or the Pacers, push the pace. Like those are both teams that really get out and push the pace. And so like, that's where the Knicks are going to have to be good. Transition defense and just defending in general against, if it's Indiana, that high powered offense with them, with Halliburton, Siakam, everybody else, or like, again, I've watched Cade Cunningham like be unguardable playing against them. Like it was a single game sample, but still like they're going to have to sit down and guard. And that's not even like the next level of the Boston Celtics, Cleveland Cavaliers, and, potentially the Thunder, or even dealing with Jokic or somebody like that could come out of the West, or Luka and LeBron. Yeah.
Halliburton in his last 47 games. So that's since November 24th, 19.4 points, 9.3 assists versus 1.7 turnovers, 50, 42, 88. Tyrese has been like, if Tyrese had played like this the whole year, he would be an all NBA guy. It's just the first quarter of the year was a little bit rough for him.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the big key. And then figuring out their defensive assignments against high level perimeter players. Can you find a way? And Brunson obviously is their biggest X factor now. Like, what is the injury here? Can he consistently, get all the way back? It feels like they're like a week out from updating his status still. So he's not going to play at all this week, it feels like. And can he get enough time to not be rusty when he first gets on the court again is going to be critical too.
Yep. I agree. And yeah, he's got to be healthy. Obviously that's 100% it. I think I'm looking at OG Anunoby, and I know he can't take some of the matchups. Like maybe he doesn't chase around like small little guards or whatever. I just watch games and I think he's their best option to put on a lot of these guys.
Do you want to talk at all about the Pacers and
I mean
Bucks? Like the Bucks to me, I'll just note the Bucks real quick.
Sure.
To me, I know that the first time they played that Kuzma at the 4 lineup with Giannis really was against the Warriors. What was that? Was that early this week, late last week? I can't remember off the top of my head. It felt like, when was that game? Yeah, it was early last week. It was Tuesday last week. And it didn't go super well. I think that they really kind of hemorrhaged points. It felt like that's their key. If they're going to go make a run, it's going to be having flexibility through their lineups. You have to continue to test this out. You have to continue to say okay, we're playing, Giannis at the 5 without a center on the court, and we're playing, Kuzma at the 4, and we're going small against you, and we're going to try and beat you that way. You need different options, and they don't totally have them yet, I feel like.
Yeah, my quick thoughts on those two. The Bucks, it's the Kuzmas, the AJ Greens, those guys knocking down shots, filling their roles, doing that stuff. Because I feel pretty strongly about what you're going to get from Giannis and Damian Lillard in the playoffs. Like even Brook Lopez, again, like an older player who's like, I've watched him really dominate games this year, and I've watched him struggle as well. For the Pacers, like we just talked about him, like Tyrese has to be all NBA Tyrese. I think he has to be the best player, the most aggressive player. And he's been closer to that throughout the, the latter part of the season. Like that is their ticket to making a Eastern Conference Finals run again, is him being all NBA level of just the hub of the offense, all of that. So I know like when you're the best player saying they're the X factor, maybe that's not the best thing, but the way he's playing gives them that chance and makes them dangerous.
Okay. With the Bucks, by the way, they've played the Kuzma Giannis lineup a little bit more over the last couple of games, and they're now a plus 18 in those minutes. Wow. So they've played 60 minutes, and it's a 115.5 offensive rating and a 97 defensive rating, right? So I just wanted to note that as well, because they played the Lakers and the Kings, and they beat both of those teams, and they started to use that lineup a little bit more. So even though it didn't go super well against the Warriors, like you have to keep going down that road to me. That's the big thing for them moving forward, is continuing to I guess I should like throw Sims in here too to the query, but I'm pretty sure I haven't seen that at all, just to like confirm while we're talking here. Let's see, Kuzma and Giannis alone. Yeah, 47 minutes and still plus 13 if you remove all the centers. So they'd played a little bit together.